You want to see my gay lovers? The gay lovers of my billboard? I created these dudes in the hospital. Ah! It's an eraser. Anyway, back to my gay lovers. I created these little dudes in the hospital. Mental hospital, if you might ask, because I have been there before. Grippy sock prison. Anyway, let's not go there. Let's go here. These are my little gay lovers that I made. This is Alfred. I always mix up their names. This is Alfred, and this is Frederick. They are gay lovers. I have to keep them beside each other, or else only God knows what can happen then. But the video. Hello, I'm new, and I grew up most of my life in Austria, so there are a lot of differences between living in Austria and the United States. I've been here for 3 years now, and I just want to talk a little bit about what it was like and the big changes that came through, and most importantly, like the biggest differences between living in Austria versus the United States. So I guess I'll start there. The biggest difference visually is the streets are smaller in the Austria, and they don't do like the box thing that happens in the United States, you know. They're not like all straight. They're kind of curvy, and they're kind of crazy, you know. My mom always said it was funner to drive in Austria than it was in the United States because there's like more curves and more like turns and stuff like that. And
I couldn't say that because I don't have my driver's license yet.
But when I do get my driver's license, I guess it'll be nice to not drive on curves and shit, because I'm terrified of the idea of driving. I was always terrified to touch the wheel because cars are so big and they're so monster and they're so scary, and I don't want to get in a fucking car crash. But other differences I've noticed is the architecture. The architecture is very, very different. You see, in the United States, this is how I say it. If I punch a wall in the US, I'm breaking the wall. If I punch a wall in Austria, I'm breaking my damn hand. So that's definitely fun. Don't want to be breaking any hands there. It's definitely a lot more sturdy. It's built on brick and stuff. And you'd think it'd be sturdy here because I live in Wisconsin, so you'd think it'd be sturdy for like the storms and shit. But I've, on various occasions, gotten holes in the walls stupidly easily. Like, I thought I would be hurting my foot once when I kicked a wall. Nope, my shoe went right through that thing. Yeah, so on to the next topic. School systems. The school system is very different in Austria. I struggled a lot with the school system because technically you graduate when you're 14 after middle school, and you don't technically have to go to like a further education. You have the choice. And my dumbass chose further education plus learning about careers. I went to a Panoneum. Panoneum, they teach you about all kinds of different skills and a bunch of stuff within the school. Like, I was learning French, I was learning how to cook, I was learning Rechnungswesen, which is basically accounting, all of that stuff within my classes. And, oh yeah, another thing, the timetables are very different in Austria versus the United States. In the United States, at least in my class that I've noticed, like, it's the same thing every day. So if you have math in the morning and then English in the evening, it's going to be like that on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In Austria, it's very different. On Monday, you're going to have cooking after school, and then maybe you'll have math and English and German and stuff like that throughout that. And then the next day, it's going to be a completely different schedule. Like, you might have, like, Rechnungswesen or accounting and stuff like that on the next day, like, on first period, but then second period, it's going to be something completely different. It's a lot more complex and a lot to keep up with. It really is. I mean, the education system's good, but it's hard as fuck to keep up with. And that's part of the reason why we left, me and my mom. There were other reasons, of course, reasons that I don't want to get into, but that was pretty much my experience living there. And people are just, politeness is just not kind of a given. You know, in the United States, when I go to a grocery store and I leave and I like put my grocery bags and the thing and is getting checked out. For one,
Like, we got self-checkout now, so that's not really something I deal with anyway.
but let's say that I choose not to do self-checkout. I choose to let a lady bag my stuff and stuff like that. She's gonna be the nicest person ever here. Like, here in the United States, great, like, fucking customer service and shit like that. And overall, wherever you go, like, restaurants, anywhere, like, customer service is automatically gonna be, like, pretty damn good. But on the other hand, like, in Austria, people just don't give a shit. People just don't really care that much about, like, customer service and stuff. Most times, you won't even get, like, eye contact if you're at the grocery store and you're, like, bringing your stuff to check out and paying. Like, yeah. Another big difference is a lot of foods that are allowed in the United States are certainly not allowed in, like, Austria. Like, you could not find a pack of Cheetos in Austria. I didn't even know Cheetos were there. I used to be obsessed with Cheetos when I came to the United States because I used to come to visit my biological dad and stuff like that. And I was obsessed with Cheetos because they did not have that shit in Austria. The biggest difference I've noticed is that in Austria, if you have something, it's probably going to exist in the United States as more of a lesser brand thing. In the United States, if you have something, it's probably not going to be there in Austria. Same thing kind of goes with sizes. I mean, everybody talks about the sizes thing because that's like basic knowledge that we use meters and decimeters and centimeters instead of inches and feet. But you don't understand how weird it is transitioning from a system that makes a lot of sense with like meters, decimeters, and centimeters, transitioning to a system that makes very little sense to me, like feet. I don't understand feet, and I still don't understand like how big a foot is supposed to be, and I don't even know who invented it. Whose feet are we mimicking? Like, is it a man's feet? Is it a woman's feet? Is it my feet? It's a little confusing, especially when I get to classes and stuff like that, and we do things regarding the feet and stuff like that, and transitioning like feet to inches. It took me quite some time. Luckily, when I was in Austria, my fucking dumbass was on amino and shit, and so I was like, I totally learned how to turn my size and stuff from like my height from like Austrian to the United States, which, by the way, I'm 5'4.5". That half is very important. Not the 4. The 4 is less important. 5'4.5", very important. It means I'm above average height. Anyway, as I was saying, like, the big changes like that are really, like, kind of crazy to deal with. When I first came here, it was definitely a lot. Social things definitely were very different, because I always remember all of my life, like, before moving to the United States, socializing in German. I can speak German fluently, by the way. Hallo, ich spreche jetzt Deutsch. I won't speak a lot in German, because that means I'm going to have to translate, and that's just more work for me. But it's very weird when social cues and stuff like that. I already suck at social stuff. Like, my fucking ass cannot hold a conversation for shit. I'm really suck at, like, picking up on social cues and knowing when I should be doing something and when I shouldn't be doing something. It's rough, because the whole social system kind of just jolts differently in Austria versus the United States. Ooh, one other thing I wanted to talk about, drinking. In Austria, like, soft liquor, like beer and stuff like that, it's allowed at 16. And hard liquor, like fucking vodka, wine, that fun shit, is allowed at 18. So we got ourselves people who are out here, like, underage drinking at 14 and stuff like that. And it's fully, like, it's just a culture thing, you know? Like, it's, people say, like, if you can see over the countertop of the bar, then you can drink. But that's how it feels sometimes. And you can also, like, smoke cigarettes and shit at 18. It's a very unique experience, like, going to school and, like, there being people outside of my school. There used to be people outside of my school who hung around the bus stops and stuff who smoked and stuff like that. And they were just, like, 18 years old. They were, like, not much older than me when I was going to those schools. It was
kind of crazy.
Because here in the United States, you can't even catch a teenager vaping without getting in trouble. Which, I mean, vaping's bad. Don't vape. There's a lot of crazy, like, differences and stuff like that in that way. And also, like, my phone was set on Austrian mode for way too fucking long. I think it was just this year when I set my phone to be on American mode so that I was actually getting ads for the United States. I was still getting ads for Austria and shit like that, but I was getting German ads while I was on my 3rd year being in the United States. I don't remember much about when I lived in Amsterdam because I was a
Maybe back then.
I was like a little kid. I did briefly live in Morocco. I remember some memories from that. I went into a swimming class and stuff like that. It had to do with my stepdad's career at the time. Well, my ex-stepdad's career and stuff like that. We, like, briefly lived for, like, I think 6 months in Morocco. I know it was in Morocco because, well, I got it confirmed by my mom and stuff like that. But that was also an interesting experience. But there's like a ton of things that are different and stuff like that. Architecture too. The buildings in Austria, they're made, like I mentioned this earlier, but they are really made to like stand. You know, they are made to like still be standing because some of those buildings are like hundreds of years old. I'm not even joking when I say that. Like, I think that house that I used to live in, like, was from the 1800s. Full on, no shit. That's was the home that I used to live in. I used to live in a place that was old as fuck. And we got, like, when it comes to animals and stuff, I really didn't see a lot of animals and stuff like that. The main things I saw were like these big ass hares and stuff like that, which is bunnies, but
Big as fuck.
dudes are like, they're fucking huge. And a lot of squirrels, but I didn't really see a lot of different animals. And here in the United States, I was biking home after work, and I came across like a fucking pack of deer just standing there, like, staring at me. It was terrifying.
I thought they were wolves at some point.
That's a true story. That scared the shit out of me, because I was riding home, and I saw, like, the eyes, and I saw, like, the skirtling around, but it was, like, super dark. It was, like, in the middle of the night, so I was not able to tell. It was scary at the time because I knew that, like, there were animals in the United States, a lot more animals that I would come across here in Wisconsin than I'd probably come across in Austria and shit. But that's just me rambling about the differences between Austria and the United States and stuff like that. If you guys want to hear any more about that, just let me know. It's a unique experience for me.
Obviously.
Because, like, I grew up in a different country, and most people around me have never even left the state. Not to judge people who don't leave the state. Like, this is a pretty nice state to live in, but I don't know if I'm gonna live here forever. I've always wanted to live in a hotter place, like California. I want to live in
California
at some point. I got a lot of stories to tell because I had I had kind of a rough upbringing, just a little bit. Not a little bit, I have PTSD. Not me downplaying my own trauma. I'm just talking and talking. So, yeah. That was the video. Bye.